I'm going to let it grow wild. We're talking full-on 1980s Playboy centerfold here. You've heard me say it before. Avocados make people happy. And happy people make the world a better place. So if you grow avocados, you're making the world a better place. Give yourself a pat on the back. But avocados aren't the only fruit that make people happy, right? People love to eat all kinds of homegrown fruits and vegetables. And one of the things people love fresh out of the garden more than almost any other is fresh tomatoes. Step into my office and I'll show you what we got growing here at Sleepy Lizard. Now, we keep a garden and we grow food for ourselves here, but to be honest with you, it's really more of a novelty. It's really more of something just so we could grow some things and make recipes out of them and kind of feel good about ourselves. But the longer this COVID-19 lockdown is going on, the less this garden behind me is a novelty and the more it's becoming a necessity. In addition, people are bored at home. They're feeling cooped up. I've been getting a lot of texts and a lot of phone calls from people saying, you know what, I want to start a garden. Give me some tips. What are things I can do? One of the things I'm telling everyone, and I'm going to share it with you right now, is get yourself some Everglades tomato seeds. I'm standing in front of a bunch of Everglades tomato plants, and I wish you could smell what I smell right now. Oh, these things smell so good, and they taste even better. For people who live in Florida, I recommend the Everglades tomato for 3 reasons. Number 1, it is absolutely delicious. It tastes the way a tomato is supposed to taste. Number 2, it's very easy to grow. In fact, it's kind of like a weed. You have to kind of control it or it'll actually get out of control on you. And number 3, the yield. It produces more tomatoes than you'll be able to eat. You'll be the most popular person on your block because every time you go knocking on the door, people know you've got a bag of tomatoes for them. Now behind me here, this isn't all one Everglades tomato plant. This is about, 6 or 7 plants that I planted. All from the seeds from one teeny tiny Everglades tomato. That's about as big as these tomatoes get, and I smushed the seeds out, planted them, and I ended up with this big bush you see behind me, as well as a bunch in my shade house that I have yet to plant. I planted about 30 seeds from that tiny tomato, and I have gotten so many plants I don't know what to do with them all. But as you see, this one and his brothers and sisters behind me have all outgrown their pot. So today I'm going to move one to a bigger pot. I'm going to move one to a raised bed, and I'm going to take a third and plant it along the fence line behind me and just kind of let it grow wild and see what happens. So as you see, this guy has not only outgrown his pot, but I had this little support stick in there for them, right? Tomatoes like to grow along a pole. He's outgrown that as well. So I think what we'll do is take this guy and plant him in the raised bed. Let's go see what we could come up with, something creative. Let's have a little fun. Here at the farm, I like to take advantage of things that are already here. I don't want to be going running to Home Depot and Lowe's all the time when I've got raw materials I can repurpose here around the farm. So right here I've got this raised bed. So I opened up this space here the other day. This is where we had our strawberries over the winter, but those things are past now. And I was thinking of maybe putting some sweet potatoes in here, but I got a different spot for those guys. But I think this would make a great spot for one of these Everglades tomatoes. In fact, it's not even big enough. It's half of one of my raised beds, and I got to be careful that this guy doesn't encroach on the crops I have down the other side. But let's get that plant in the ground and see what we could do with it. Left unchecked and with the right support structure, an Everglades tomato bush can grow 10 to 12 feet high. Now, I ain't going to grow it that high, but I want to see if I can maybe get 4 to 5 feet off of this guy and maybe another 3 to 4 feet in width. So let's put together a little framework, a little trellis for this thing to grow on. I got this nice fresh piece of bamboo. It's probably about 25 feet long. I just cut it down yesterday. So I'm going to cut this thing into about 5 or 6 foot sections and make a little teepee out of it. But first, let's clear it. Now before we use this sucker in a trellis, I have to clear the branches off of it. And luckily for us, we're not making furniture or anything that needs to look pretty. So I can just get out my rusty old semi-dull machete, just kind of work my way down the pole, clearing the branches off as I go. Now that I have the branches clear, I'm ready to cut this thing into sections, which I'm going to cut just about to my height, I think. I just cut this pole yesterday, so the wood's still a little wet and soft, and the diameter is narrow enough that I don't really need a saw or anything like that. I could just use this loppers. So all you got to do is measure it to size, and there you have it. And now I have 3 poles of bamboo, just about 6 foot in height each, that I can put together and make a little teepee trellis structure for that Everglades tomato bush to grow on. This is a very easy structure to make. You just got to stick your bamboo poles into the dirt. And then I just kind of bring them together in this rough teepee shape. All right, so the dirt in my bed's about 1 foot deep, so that provides a nice foundation for these poles, and they're actually pretty solidly in there. And frankly, if I wasn't making a video, I just might leave it like this. But since we're going to do this properly, I'll attach a little bit of string to one of the poles and just kind of wind myself a structure here to keep these poles together nice and strong. And once I have it wound down nice and tight, I just tie it off with whatever knot you want to use to tie off the end. I mean, it ain't like the knot's going to keep this thing together. All that winding's what's going to keep it together. And also, if I wasn't doing this for a video, I wouldn't use this bright orange string. But when I saw the bright orange there, I thought it might show up on video better. So there's the foundation for our trellis, and this thing is surprisingly strong. I mean, bamboo is very sturdy and strong, and this will be more than sufficient to hold our plant. Now the next step is to cut some cross beams and fasten those to the teepee foundation that we made. I marked it off. This is about the length we need. So again, with the loppers, 1, 2, 3. And again, we're just going to fasten them with this orange string. First, I'll just tie a little loop knot in my string to anchor it to the branch. To do that is very easy. You just bend your line over double like this, tie a granny knot. You've got yourself a little loop here now, see? You can just pull the line through the loop, cinch the loop back down on the pole, and there you have it. It's fastened. Then we go over to the teepee, just cinch it down. And once we've got it cinched, we just tie it off. Let me show you a little closer on this one. Once again, double the line over, simple little granny knot. Leave your loop showing here. See how we have a loop? Take your line, make another loop, fasten it to your stick, and that guy's on there. And then it's really just a series of wrapping, like these U-shaped wraps, around one side, back around the back, around one side, back around the back, around, back, around, back, around, back, like this. And I've got a nice sturdy cross beam here. Now I can tie it off. So I just finish off the edge with a series of half hitches. Then just kind of tie off the end and tuck it in. There you have it. There's our first cross beam. Now I'm going to do that for 3 more around the bottom, 3 around the top, then I'll be right back. Here's the first row of the trellis. I got 1, 2, 3 ladders in here for a row. I'll put another one on, but I'm going to do that later because I'm running out of light. Let's get this tomato plant in the ground. This guy has a lot of roots growing out the bottom of the pot, so I just cut the bottom of the pot out so that I could keep all the roots intact. Right into the ground. And there you have it, a homemade bamboo trellis with a freshly planted Everglades tomato plant. Now look, something like this, does it save you a few bucks? Yeah, but let's face it, a trellis at a garden supply shop ain't all that expensive, right? And time-wise, it takes a little while to build something like this. You might have been able to drive somewhere and be back even quicker. But I like the look. It looks very natural. And I also like just the way it makes me feel. You know, just the knowledge that you took something from elsewhere on the farm and repurposed it for another use. And that use is to grow food for myself and for my family. It's just a really nice feeling. I mentioned in addition to the raised bed, I wanted to transplant one of these plants to a spot I have over by the fence line. So let's go over there and let's get that guy in the ground too. The spot I'm standing in right now, the area behind me, the area to my sides, used to be really, really thick forest and vegetation. In fact, I wouldn't even be able to stand here. You wouldn't be able to walk around back here. I had about a 20-foot ring of woods around the perimeter of my property. Then in 2017, Hurricane Irma blew in and knocked all that stuff down, and I lost a lot of junk and garbage trees, but I also lost a lot of beautiful pines, a nice eucalyptus tree, and a lot of other just really, really pretty stuff that I had back here. So now I got to put the land to new use, which is why I put this nursery and this garden we've been working in, and I got this spot back here behind me. I'm going to just dig a hole and put one of these Everglades trees in, one of these Everglades tomato plants in, and see if I could grow just a giant bush, like a 6-foot high, 10 by 10 tomato plant. So let's pick a spot and get it in the ground. I picked a nice big, really grown out tomato plant to put back there in that hole in the hopes that it'll survive. I got a lot of critters around here, particularly rabbits, and every time I put a little tomato plant in the ground, they come along and eat it. I'm hoping this guy will survive. But let's get this thing in the ground and see how it looks. So there you have it. We transplanted 2 beautiful Everglades tomato plants. One we put in a raised bed, and it's going to share space with other vegetables throughout the season. So I built this homemade bamboo trellis to keep it under control. I'll periodically come out and kind of cut it and prune it and keep it under control so that it doesn't interfere with the other stuff I'm trying to grow there. The other plant we put out in a spot where nothing grows but weeds. I just come through there with the mower every now and then, and I want to see if that thing will take root and flourish. And I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it grow wild. We're talking full-on 1980s Playboy centerfold here. If you like what you saw and you think you'd be good at growing an Everglades tomato, give me a private message, swing on by the farm, and I'll give you some seeds. You could take it home and give it a try. And if you're less inclined to flex your green thumb but still want to take home a little piece of Sleepy Lizard Avocado Farm, go to guacfarm.com, guacfarm.com, guacfarm.com. And get yourself one of these awesome Sleepy Lizard stickers, get yourself a Sleepy Lizard t-shirt, or when it's in season, get some of our tropical fruit. Me, I'm going to wrap up here and run in the house before this rain starts, and I will see you on the next video.